Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to my channel Internal Audit Lab by Noshin. Today I am going to discuss about one of the important topics of Domain 1 of CIA Part 1, which is difference between assurance and consulting engagement. This topic will be tested in proficiency aspect in the exam. As you know, in CIA exam, the topics are tested in two aspects. One is basic and another one is proficient. So in basic aspect, you need to do the memorization of the topics, but when the proficient is mentioned, the memorization is not only sufficient, you also need to have the application, analysis and evaluation capabilities of those concepts. So let's start the video. Now, what standard glossary defines about assurance surveys? It is an objective examination of evidence for the purpose of providing an independent assessment on governance, risk management, and control process for the organization. So, whenever any process or operations is objectively examined, and the purpose of examination is to provide the independent assessment on the areas of governance, risk management and control process. It is being defined as the assurance services. Example of assurance services may include the financial performance, compliance, system security and due diligence engagement. Now, what does glossary define about consulting services? So basically, the consulting services are advisory services. The nature of scope are usually agreed with the client. So mark my word, it's the advisory services and the nature and scope are agreed with the client. So what is its purpose? Its purpose is to add value and improve an organization, governance, risk management and control processes. But wherever any consulting service is performed, the internal auditor cannot assume any management responsibility because advice is being provided. There may be a possibility that management responsibility can be assumed, but it should not be. Example of consulting services include counseling, any sort of advice, facilitation, and training. One important point needs to be remembered about consulting service, that is, the standard states that whenever any internal auditor do the consulting service, it must be defined in the internal audit charter. Now come to the point, how many parties are involved in assurance and consulting engagement. In assurance engagement, basically three parties are involved. They are the process owner, internal auditor and the user group. So process owner are basically the person or the group who are directly involved with the entity, operation, function, process, system. That is, who is being audited is the process owner, or the subject matter of the audit is the process owner. Internal auditor is the person or group who are making the assessment, and user is the person or group using the assessment. Basically, the senior management, board or audit committee comes under the purview of user group. Now, two parties are involved under consulting engagement. One is internal auditor and another is client. So internal auditor, already I told you, the person or group making the assessment, and the client is the person or group who are receiving the advisory services of the consulting services. Now here are different types of assurance engagement. It is very important to remember the types of assurance and consulting engagement, because in many times in exam the questions comes that which of the following is a type of assurance engagement or which of the following is a type of consulting engagement. So if you memorize these types, so it will be easier for you to answer the questions. The operational audit, financial audit, regulatory compliance audit, KPI audit or key performance audit, third-party audit, performance and quality audit. These are the types of assurance engagement. Or sometimes whenever any merger acquisition is done, due diligence audit is conducted, which is also assurance engagement. Then joint venture audit or system implementation, construction project, contract review, security privacy audit, all are the different types of assurance engagement. Now, which are the types of consulting engagement? Any sort of advisory engagement or the facilitative or the training types of services are consulting engagement. Then if you perform any business process improvement or do the continuous monitoring of control to the process mapping, those will also come under the purview of consulting engagement. If any a new product, service or system is launched, auditor or sometimes asked to do the audit, it will also come under the purview of consulting engagement. And if any auditor participate in any committee, that will be part of consulting engagement. Apart from this, internal control review, forensic audit are types of consulting engagement. Some important points to remember about consulting engagement. So we know that the purpose of internal audit is to add value, but this value addition is done only when we perform both assurance and consulting services. Now, if any rules or standards are applicable to the consulting services, those must also be stated in the charter. And lastly, consulting services, if it is performed, it will not impair the objectivity of either the internal auditor or the internal audit activity, because sometimes advisory services are performed, so it is thought that objectivity may be impaired, but it will not impair the objectivity. Whenever assurance or consulting services are performed together, it is called blended engagement. Assurance and consulting service can be performed together because these are not mutually exclusive. But the thing is that there must not be any conflict of independence, objectivity with regard to roles and responsibilities when performing this blended engagement. And also another thing to remember that whenever any blended engagement is performed, it is better suggested to communicate the outcome separately, because the purpose and the scope of assurance and consulting engagement are different. So today's video is all about that. Hopefully it will help to in preparation of your exam. Thanks for watching.